Heidi hi campers, it is I, Ledaz, freshly back from Denmark after a very long and tiring drive last night. I got back at about 1 o'clock in the morning and found half a dozen dead fish in the quarantine. They got a good dose of Costia while I was away. Lovely. So, had to deal with that one today. A couple of filter cleans and bits and bobs. I wanted to do a little bit of a update and a bit more of a deep dive on ozone. The ozone generators are flying out the door as fast as you like. The first batch I sent out before I left for Denmark. I know that Seba's got his and did a quick video on his install, and I know a few people have got theirs. I've got 20 units on back order at the moment, and hopefully they will be coming out towards the end of this week, early part of next week. And then I've got a couple of days packaging them up and getting them off to you guys. So thank you very much. The orders keep trickling in, and I keep upping my order to the manufacturer for them to make me a few more. Do not fear, he has enough to make 1,000 of them. I don't think we're going to sell all of those. I'd like to, but I don't think I will. Okay, so ozone seems to have been a bit of a topic of discussion, and I just wanted to run through it a little bit deeper and give a little bit more information on the research that I've done on ozone, which hasn't been massive, but it's been enough to give me a fairly good understanding of how it works, how to keep it in check, and to know a little bit more about what you're doing. So the way an ozone generator works, basically, it's basically a miniature lightning machine that uses high voltage to attach another oxygen molecule onto standard oxygen. So you become from O2 to O3. O3 is ozone. That molecule is very loosely attached, and when it comes into contact with other things, it wants to jump off onto the other chemical, and it basically oxidizes it. So it works very much on a similar process to potassium permanganate. It's an oxidizing agent, and it will kill all manner of things in your pond. Now, herein lies the issue with ozone, is people go, you don't know how much ozone is in your pond. So, as far as I understand it, the way it works is that the particular thing that's being oxidized has to come in contact with the ozone, and as far as I'm aware, the ozone doesn't actually get absorbed into your water like oxygen does. So basically, whatever's being oxidized has to pass through the stream of air bubbles coming out of your diffuser. So yes, if you have something like a bog filter, that's an ideal place to put it. If you've got some sort of not in your sort of moving bed, because it will kill the bacteria in your moving bed. But there are levels of conductivity in water, which is how you measure how much ozone is required. And you measure that with, here's one I prepared earlier, an ORP meter. And what this does is it measures the electrical conductivity of your water, and it tells you basically how much stuff is dissolved in your water, whether that be organics or whatever. So the more sterile your water is, the higher the ORP reading is. So if your water is absolutely sterile, you'll have an ORP reading of about 700. Most ponds are around 250-ish, give or take. If you've got a lot of organics, they'll be even lower than that. Where you want to aim for is a reading of around 380 to 400. That is a healthy balance between sterile water that will not support life and water that has the right amount of cleanliness, shall we put it, for want of a better way of explaining it. So if you have a very large pond like mine, these ozone generators produce about 500 milligrams of ozone per hour. So you're probably not going to overdose it. If you're putting the same unit on a 1,000 litre vat, then you've got to know where your ozone levels are at. So an ORP meter is your best friend. And the way you change the amount of ozone is to reduce the on time and increase the off time. So where they say the maximum you run them at is 3 hours on, 1 hour off, if you had a 1,000 litre vat, you might only be running it for an hour a day. You might run 1 hour on, 23 hours off. But you have to gauge it using an ORP meter. And that is the way it's done. So you can gauge how much ozone you're using. If you're using ozone indoors, I would highly suggest you get an ozone alarm, because it can cause you damage if you're breathing it in indoors. And if you speak to anyone that's running marine systems with ozone, they tend to have ozone alarms. You don't want to be breathing ozone in over long periods of time inside a building. So hopefully that's cleared a couple of things up. So yes, you can sterilise your pond. Highly unlikely that you would with a pond. With a small vat, yes, it is possible. I would highly suggest you nip on Amazon and get an ORP meter. You can pick up a cheap one for 15, 20 quid. You can pick up a very expensive one for a few £100. Depends on your budget. The cheap ones obviously aren't quite as accurate, but they will give you a baseline reading of where you are, and they will give you a baseline reading as the conductivity goes up. So ORP meters, very, very useful tool, not massively expensive. And this one I think cost me about 15 quid. The range is minus 999 to plus 999 millivolts, with an accuracy of plus or minus 4 millivolts. So that's accurate enough for me as far as I'm concerned. So there you have it. Ozone, a little bit of a deeper dive. Can it be dangerous? Yes. Can it sterilise your pond? Yes. Can it kill your fish? Yes. Is it likely to? No. But an ORP meter is the way to check your levels and to make sure you're not overdoing it. You want to aim for an ORP reading of about 380 to 400 millivolts. You don't want to go much higher than that, because then you start to have an adverse effect. So hopefully there are a lot of people questioning ozone, questioning how effective it is. Well, it's very effective. But there's a lot of people also out there saying, well, you know, you can't really measure it, you can't really measure what's going on. Yes, you can. That's what you need. I wanted to do this before Denmark, but I was just so rushed off my feet with everything else, I didn't manage to. But hopefully that will give you... Oh, and if you use potassium permanganate, these are very good as well, because it will tell you when you're killing too much in your pond and you're likely to damage your fish. Can ozone kill a fish? Well, yes it can. If the fish is swimming directly through the stream of air bubbles into bubbles of ozone, and they're doing it on a regular basis, yes, they could damage their gills. Is it very likely? In my experience, fish tend to stay away from the bubble streams. They don't tend to swim through them. But I suppose someone might have a bit of a nutty fish that does that. Does ozone saturate your water? No. The whole point of ozone is that it doesn't go back into the filters and kill your filters. So unlike potassium permanganate, where it goes right around your whole system, the ozone doesn't. It stays in a relatively small column around the air bubbles. So the likelihood of it coming in direct contact with your fish is pretty slim. But there's a little bit more info for you. If you go and Google ozone in fish koi ponds, you'll find some very, very good write-ups, some very good information from people that have been using ozone for over a decade, their experiences with it, how they deal with it, talking about ORP meters and all that sort of thing. So hopefully that's answered a few of the questions. Hopefully that's answered the questions on when are the ozone meters going to come in, generators going to come in. Hopefully within this following week, and then I can get them out to you. I've also put the replacement ozone units, the part you have to change every 6 months, on the website. $29.95 each, change them every 6 months, so they're now available as well. The air domes are on there. If you don't have an air dome, you can also get yourself a separate air dome. Air domes and ozone generators, 10% off until, I think I put it till about my birthday, 29th of September. So thank you very much to those that have placed orders. They will be coming out very, very soon. And hopefully we'll grab a few more. Catch you later, guys. Oh, and just a funny one. Someone said to me the other day, with all these ozone generators you're selling, you're going to increase the hole in the ozone layer. We're creating ozone, not CFCs that destroy ozone. So we're actually repairing the ozone layer. Just a little bit of a funny quip and a bit of a thought for the day.